I was sitting in my living room, reading a book as I waited for the arrival of a certain blonde model. There was a knock at the door, just minutes before. I jumped up and hurried over to it to unlock it, seeing smiling Kise, plastic bag in hand. "Hey, Finn. Gee, I brought it over." He held up the bag. I smiled at him and let him inside. "Hi, Kise. That's great. This is gonna be fun." A few days earlier, Kise had come up to me and asked if I wanted to be his hair color swap buddy. He wanted to try something new with his hair and decided that he wanted to use temporary hair color dye to match my natural hair color, and so I agreed to swap hair colors with him. He would dye his hair color to resemble mine, and I would dye mine blonde like his, and that was what we were doing today. Kise sets the bag down and fished out the bottle of hair color hair dye. "FNG, can you help me with the first, Sue?" He looked at me pleadingly. I chuckled and smiled, reaching out my hand to take the dye from him. "Sure. Thank you, FNG." He cheered and gave me the hair color dye. "Go sit on the floor," I said, motioning to the couch. "I'll get some gloves." "Roger." Kise grinned and gave me a goofy salute. He marched over to the couch and sat down in front of it, resting his back against it. I giggled at him and went to the bathroom. Finding some disposable gloves in the cabinet, I grabbed an old towel from the closet and went back to Kise. I sat down on the couch behind him and put the towel over his shoulder to protect his clothes. Then I put the gloves on and opened the bottle of dye. I smeared a blob on my fingers and picked up a few locks of his golden blonde hair. I hesitated, not yet applying the dye to his hair. Kise," I spoke up, "are you sure you want to do this? Even if it was temporarily, I didn't want to ruin his beautiful hair color. What if he hated how he looked with my hair color? What if his modeling manager thinks he's ugly and refuses to let him model while he has hair color hair?" Kise interrupts my thoughts, replying cheerfully, "I'm sure, Finchi," he said confidently. "I want to look cute with hair color like you." I blushed at his words, thankful that he was facing away from me. Alright," I mumbled. I dabbed the hair dye on his hair and rubbed it over the piece of hair I was holding using my thumb and index finger. It took some time since this was my first time dyeing someone's hair, but I think I was doing pretty good so far. I was now crouched in front of him, combing my fingers through his bangs to cover it with the dye. "Stay still, Kise," I chided him, trying to suppress a giggle as he fidgeted. "I've been sitting here for ages," he pouted. "Are you almost done?" "Nearly." I scooted closer to him so I could reach the roots of his bangs. I didn't notice him blush slightly at how close I was, and continued to lather his hair in the hair color dye. "And done," I finally announced after a few more minutes. Stepping away from Kise, I peeled the gloves off and tossed them onto the tissue that were on the table. Then, turning back to Kise to admire my handiwork, he actually looked really good. "How do I look?" he asked, giving me a cute smile. The hair color dye complemented his eyes surprisingly well. Now that his hair wasn't the same color as his eyes, his yellow eyes stood out. I felt myself blushing again. Kise's face fell since I did not answer him. "Do I really look that bad?" I snapped out of it and shook my head furiously. No. I scratched my cheek in embarrassment. "You look really handsome," I said quietly, looking away from him. The floor was suddenly the most interesting thing I ever saw. Kise chuckled, and I suddenly felt his arms around me. He tried to pull his head in the crook of my neck, but I pushed him away. "Kise, you'll get hair dye all over me," I scolded, crossing my arms over my chest, still a bit flustered. He pouted. "I'll hug you after my shower then," he resolved. But first, he put his hands on his hips and looked around for something. Holding up the bottle of blonde hair dye he declared, "Let's make you beautiful." I couldn't help but laugh, and he got to work with dyeing my hair bright sunny yellow. Walking into Keijo the next day, I received a lot of stares for my golden hair, but I didn't mind them. Some people actually complimented me for my new hair color, and I accepted them graciously, smiling. But I was really looking forward for a certain someone. I finally found him in the halls with Kasamatsu, who was teasing him for his hair. Nice way to throw off your fangirls. At least you finally look normal now. How long is that stuff gonna last? Kasamatsu was asking him. You're so mean, senpai. Kise fake cried before answering the question. I think the bottle said it'll last for a week or two. At least most of the girls don't recognize you. We'll finally have some peace for today. Kasamatsu sighed softly, content with having at least one day where the gym wasn't packed with Kise's fangirls to distract the basketball team. Hey Kise! Hi Kasamatsu, senpai! I called out to the two boys. They both turned at the sound of my voice. Hi FNT! Kise grinned, while Kasamatsu was looking at me in shock. Ellen, you did it too? He asked, staring at my hair. I laughed a bit awkwardly. Yeah? I said, feeling a bit self-conscious at his reaction. Well, you don't look that bad, Kasamatsu stuttered out. Oh, I said, blinking in surprise at him. Thanks. Anyway, Kasamatsu said, looking back at Kise, remember that we have a new training menu starting today, and if I see those ridiculous fangirls, then I'll double yours for the month. The captain turned away to go to his classes. Kise chuckled at Kasamatsu's words. Both of us knew that the senior wasn't serious about making Kise practice more than the other basketball players. After all, Kise was one of the hardest workers on the team, despite his playful and bubbly nature. A few girls that I recognized as some of Kise's fangirls walked by us, not even sparing us a glance. Have you seen Kise today? One of them asked, saying to her friends. No, another one of them said. You think he's sick or something? I really wanted to see him today, pouted the third one. Did you see his most recent pictures? He looked so hot, squealed the first excitedly fangirl. Kise and I looked at each other grinning. I could tell that he was on the verge of laughing. I was too, trying to hold back my giggles by putting my hand over my mouth. The girls kept walking, and once they were out of earshot, Kise cracked up, not being able to keep it in any longer. I joined in with his laughter. That was better than I thought. Kise laughed, wiping his eyes as tears of laughter started brimming his eyes. And they didn't recognize you, I giggled. That was great, Kise smiled. We should change our hair together again. I smiled back at him. I did have fun dyeing my hair with him, and it was really cute how Kise so badly wanted to be hair color hair like me. Yeah, we should, I agreed with him. What color should we try out next? He thought deeply for a moment as we started walking to class. I bet FNG would look cute with pink hair. Pink? I repeated, making a face. Only if you do yours purple. Instead of protesting, Kise surprised me by agreeing. Deal, he said happily. He really had no shame. Nothing could embarrass him. After all, he added, I'll do anything for FNG. I chuckled, blushing lightly. I'd do anything for you too, Kise. I would like to receive applause in the comments to see if you made it this far, because I finished this story, this 8-page story, under 5%. 5%! I have 3% now, but under 5%. So claps, please! Thank you! I'm so proud of myself. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye, monomos! I finally found him in the halls with Kasumu. I finally found him in the halls. I finally found him in the halls with Kasamatsu.